Hey, I'm Dave Wallach here at ICAST at the Pinnacle booth. Get a question all the time about cranking and the gear ratios and what do you prefer. And, you know, obviously the standard preference in gear ratio for cranking is something slow, 4:7 to 1. This is the 4:7 to 1 that I typically use for cranking. Over the years, I've developed sort of hybrid strategies that have made the necessity for me to use higher speed gear ratio reels for cranking. One being, when I crank up north for smallies, a lot of times, like if I'm using this 4:7 to 1 Optimus, I'm cranking at a speed like this, but I'm also drifting downwind. So I got to catch up with the line that at the pace I'm drifting downwind, sometimes 15, 20 mile an hour winds on a place like Lake Champlain or Lake Erie. And you obviously can't fish upwind and cast a crankbait upwind and that type of, gusts. So when I'm doing that, and the fact that smallmouth are just such rapid fire jumpers, and they'll sometimes run 10 feet to the left and peel off 10 feet of drag to the right, you just can't catch up to them with the slower standard ratio gear ratio reels. So, I know Paul Elias, when he won the Guntersville tournament on the Alabama rig, he talked about using a 6:4 to 1. And that's kind of an in-between. It's not a super high speed, but I've also, on places like Lake Champlain, I've cranked with 7:3 to 1. And the reason that I've done that is to keep up with those fish. I've lost the fish necessary to win tournaments up there because I couldn't catch up with them. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be burning a crankbait, and I'm going to be drifting downwind, and I got a 4 or 5 pound crazy smallmouth on the other end of the line, it's necessary for me to use the high-speed reels, and and over the years, it's gotten a lot more fish to the boat when I've done that. So that's why the different speeds and gear ratios, and don't be stuck in the mentality of, I got to use a cranking reel and the speed and gear ratio that everybody else uses for the southern-based largemouth that are on a flat point that you reel by one stump, and you get that lazy largemouth that hardly fights because he's seen 10 crankbaits come by that day. Beef up the speeds of your and the gear ratios of your cranking reels, and in certain times having it as an option. Even if you're on southern impoundments, you'll get a lot more fish to the boat if you match what you're doing out there to the gear ratio.